I'm going to ask a question, and then I'll call you up to answer it. The first one, we'll start with Dwayne Pettigrew, and if you will, just hold the applause until they all answer the question. Dwayne, we'll start this one. Do you believe the TARP bailout was helpful to our economy, or was there a better way of handling the situation?
That's a great question. I actually think the TARP bailout in many ways actually has deepened the recession. And I'll tell you why. Let's look at the banking situation. Do we have any bankers in the room? The banking situation, you bailed out those banks because they were, as we've all heard, too big to fail. Now what did we do? We made the banks even bigger. So those banks, in essence now, are even too much bigger to fail, supposedly. Wouldn't it have been better to have started a entry-level banking situation where people could have gone in and started up new banks? We've had a lot of small banks start up and let the big ones fail. What we've essentially done is we've propped up our economy on stilts and we've not let it hit bottom. Now in many ways it kept us from going deeper, but at the same time it has prolonged this recession that we've dealt with. So I have mixed emotions, but I would obviously say that I think when you look at the debt and the amount that it has accrued to our bottom line, I think it was a mistake.
Thank you. Next is Dakota Wood.
I have a different perspective on this. I think that the first bailout, TARP, was absolutely essential. I know that's not popular, but it comes from a deep understanding of the global financial environment. In the days leading up to that decision, liquidity or the availability to move cash, to extend loans globally was at a standstill. The regulators, the financiers, not only in the U.S. but around the world, were deathly afraid. The meetings that were going on in Washington, D.C., and New York, and in London, and Paris, and Tokyo, all over the world, were all-night sessions where the world was trying to figure out how to keep the world from collapsing economically. And so I think that the initial package was absolutely essential and critical. But just like taking vitamins, drinking water, what's needed up front in a small dose or initially to save the day, if you keep doing it and doing it too much, it becomes harmful. So the quantitative easing that occurred on the second round and then the third round, discussion of the fourth one, the bailouts of the auto industry, etc., have been injurious, have been harmful to our economy because we keep kicking the can down the road. But your question was about the initial TARP, and in that period of time, if we hadn't done that as the leading economic power in the world, the global financial system would have crashed. I don't think it's widely appreciated or understood, but that was the situation at that time, and that's why we didn't the TARP bailout.
Next is Dwayne Thompson.
I'm going to take this opportunity to say, I think this is a very good idea and insight into this moral issue. I mean, the president said himself, he said, remember that one story that came out, he said, we found out we didn't have any shovel-ready jobs. See, the question is if it would have gotten where it's supposed to go, it might have done some good. It makes me think, go back to WPA time. Were those shovel-ready jobs? I mean, we're still seeing remnants of those things, and what that money did, just about everywhere you go in this nation. And so, was it good, was it bad? There was probably something that could have been good, but it didn't seem to me, from what I've seen and what I've heard, to get to where it was supposed to go. So therefore, I would say, well, it didn't end up being a good thing. So I think the key here is this. It goes back to this morality issue. Until we get some people that's going to do the business right and take care of the people's business right, we're going to keep losing funds and they don't even know what happened to most of it. And where did it go? Where did it go? Who's answering for that? And where are those answers?
Next is Dustin Rowe.
Thank you. I believe that we as a people cannot borrow our way out of debt. I believe that individually, and I believe that as to our government. Secondly, I believe that all wealth in this country is created in the private sector. Ladies and gentlemen, the federal government does not create wealth. It has two sources of revenue: taxes that you and I give it, and borrowing from other countries. It has no means, no mechanism to create any wealth. And so this concept that the Congress can borrow its way out of debt is the craziest concept I've ever heard. And that's why we owe $15.7 trillion tonight in this country, and why we borrow $4.8 billion every single day. Tonight when you go to bed, we'll be $4.8 billion in debt, more than we were when you woke up this morning, and tomorrow night we'll be another $4.8 billion in debt. The first phase of that stimulus package was $787 billion, just shy of $1 trillion. The Republicans voted for it because President Bush told them to. 6 months later, when Obama was in office with the next phase, they all voted against it. Still the same borrowing. Actually, it was less. Today, our unemployment rate has not changed from what it was when we passed that first bill 3.5 years ago, yet our debt has gone up $6 trillion in the same time frame. No, I don't agree with the TARP bailout, and no, I wouldn't vote for it, and I'm frustrated with those Republicans that voted for it in Congress. Secondly, as to the amount of borrowing that we're doing, we have to realize that we are burdening our children and grandchildren down with debt. Greece was bailed out 2 years ago by the European Union, ladies and gentlemen, completely bailed out. And tonight, Greece's unemployment rate is still 21%. You cannot tell me that government bailouts work. They don't work in Europe, and they won't work here.